Hi there, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, so sorry I've had to wait so long. I have got out today Ornate Garden. Not used this for ages, and it's for Share It on a Sunday, something that myself and two of my teammates get involved in. And we've been doing this for over a year now, where we create a project, a set theme every week, and then we share it across all of our social media and all of the groups that we are part of. And it's just a really nice thing to do. So that's myself, Crafty Karen Designs, who's also on YouTube, and Vicky Lou Designs, and she's on the blog. So today's theme is a 3D project. I haven't made this first. I've literally thought, oh my goodness, it's Share It on a Sunday tomorrow and I've got nothing. So I'm going to make a 3D project, and today I'm going to make a very elegant gift box. And this one's going to be quite big. It's going to be 3.5 inches by 2 inches by 6 inches. So quite a big box. So these are the pieces of Ornate Garden that I'm going to use. I've sliced them up. I'll go through all of the measurements. The measurements will be on my blog. But while I'm just getting all these bits sorted, if you like paper crafting tutorials and you like to follow along, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell to be notified every time I make a YouTube tutorial. So here we go. Start off with a piece of Whisper White cardstock. That's what we're having. We're having the gold on white. Nice and simple yet elegant. So I've got a piece of A4 cardstock, and I've trimmed this down to 11.5 inches by 8 inches. So I've wanted to use as much of this card as I possibly could to get this biggest box. And then I've also got another piece of card, Whisper White, or Basic White as it's called now, which is 4.5 by 3. And we need to do some scoring. So I'm going to start with the biggest piece of card, and we are going to score that at 3.5. Just make sure that's in properly. 3.5, 5.5, 9, and 11. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to score at 2 inches. So nice and simple there. Hopefully you can see those score lines. And then with the smaller piece of card, so on the long side, score at 4, because it's easier than trying to score at half. Score at 4. Turn it all the way around and score at 4. And then on the short side, whoops, there we go, score at 2.5. Turn it and score at 2.5. And that's it. So that is your lid. So we'll come back to that piece in a moment. Let's get the scoreboard away. When I say away, just down there under the desk. So here's our box. It doesn't look like a box, it looks like a white piece of card at the moment, but this is what our box will be once we've got all of our bits and pieces cut out of it. Fold and burnish your score lines. Now, while I'm doing this, I have had a couple of comments recently to say that the sound on my videos is quite quiet. I don't know why that is. I have checked my settings, so if you did comment that recently, I've had a really good look. I'm also making sure that I'm talking loud enough as well without shouting. So if you're still having an issue with hearing me, please let me know in the comments below. And then if that is still the case, then I'm going to just try and get some advice from that somewhere as to what might be going wrong there. So there is, I actually want it that way, thinking about it. going to go that way, because what I've done is I've got a piece of Ornate Garden, and I don't know how much that was across. Now thinking about it, I did add it up. 10 inches I think that was in total. Let's just have a quick measure. I think it was 10 inches. Yeah, 10 inches by 5 3/4. And then I sliced it at 3 1/4, and then at 1 3/4. Then I had another one that measured 3 1/4 and another one at 1 3/4, so that those shapes just follow along like that. Does that make sense? When actually they're sliced there, and then we just separate them. And even though you don't really see that in the box, I don't know why, it just makes me feel better knowing that that runs across like that. So if somebody was looking at the box and turning it, they could see that all of those patterns actually match. So what I'm going to do off camera is just stick those on, because I don't really think you need to see me just gluing and sticking, and it stops the video being so long as well. So I'm just going to quickly do that now. They've stuck on there like that. Well, that needs to be pressed down a little bit more. So just when you're doing that, if you've got your pieces of DSP just set out in the right order, then when you glue them, you can use liquid glue, tear and tape, or a dispenser glue. Try not to turn them round and keep everything in the right order. Okay, so we've got that. So let's just do some snipping away at this. So if we start on this side where that 1/2 inch tab is there, and we're going to completely get rid of that little rectangle just on the bottom there. So just going to cut up to there and cut into that like that. So you've got a little diagonal line, and then you're just going to whip off that diagonal bit there as well. And then these are the flaps that go along the bottom. My scissors are a bit sticky. Just cut up these score lines just up to the first score line. Like that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to use tear and tape for this. This is my preferred adhesive for box making. I didn't have one on my desk. I've just had to quickly lean over to my glue drawer. So with this tear and tape here, I'm just going to run that right on that score line. Because if you've got it right on the score line, oh, I've got a little gap there. Got a little gap. Oh, sorry, slight interruption there. So just running the tape along there like that. Ideally, you need it closer to that score line. That was a little bit difficult for me to see there when I've got the camera rolling. Just lift that off and turn it over. And if you bring this over, it should match. If your score lines and your cutting have been nice and accurate, it should match. Sometimes it goes a little bit off if your scoring has just been slightly off centre. So there is my box. I just need to fold these flaps down. Find where the back of your box is, so that's there. So wherever the seam where you've just stuck is, that's going to be the back. And so what I'm going to do is, that's the back, fold this one in, and that one's going to go over like that. And I'm just going to run a bit of tear and tape along there as well. But you can use your glue of choice. I'm just using this because it's out. And for box making, tear and tape is definitely my favourite. I think I'm going to have 2 along there just because it's got a big bottom. Just hoping I get this in shot, because I've got the camera quite high up today because it's a bigger project. Keep the camera a little bit higher up. Before you fold that flap down, make sure this is nice and square. Tear and tape is super sticky, so when it's down, it's down. You can't really shift it. So make sure all that is nice and square. So there's our box that at the moment has no lid. And that's where your next piece comes in. So there's that. So this is the width of the box. So it's going to run along there like that. And we're going to form a tab that will stick to the back of the box, and then a tab that will be at the front of the box. So the first thing that I want to do is, let's fold and burnish these first before I do anything else. So they're a little bit narrow and a bit fiddly. And I'm also going to decorate the top of this as well. I can't help thinking I've got some measurements not quite right here. Yeah, that's not ½ an inch. Right, let's quickly cut this again. That's not right on there. I don't know what went wrong with that. I'm going to cut it again. These things happen. So 3 inches by 4½. Possibly my initial measurements were wrong. No, I'm just comparing that. They were right. I don't know what went wrong there. So I'm going to score this at, what was that again? The short side was 2½. Turn it back and 2½. And this side was at 4. And at 4. Righty ho, that looks better. Let's fold and burnish again. I'm glad I spotted that. I didn't want to cut it. There's our score lines folded and burnished. And while we're here, I just got a piece of Ornate Garden, and that measures 3¼ by 1 3/4. And I'm just going to get some glue. And just stick that on the top there. So this is the width of the box. And what I'm going to do is just slightly diagonally and really slightly just cut into there. And again, slightly diagonally. Cut into there like that. So hopefully you can see you just got slight diagonal cuts there. So I'm going to do the same with this one. And the reason they're on the very, very slight diagonal is so that it all fits together. These are the back, and you can lose those squares completely. But with this side bit, cut diagonally, again, not too much, just very, very slightly. So we've lost that there, and we'll take this away here on the score line, but oh, that was too much. Slight diagonal line here, like that. So that's the back, and that's going to stick inside your box. These are on the side, and this is at the front. And what we're going to do is put that back flap inside there. That's where we're going to stick it. And again, I'm going to use tear and tape for this because I want it to be nice and strong. I think tear and tape for boxes is the strongest adhesive you can get. You might have your own that you prefer. This is my personal choice. You can use wet glue if you like, and that will give you a chance to wiggle it on. With tear and tape, you've got to be right pretty much first time. It's a bit scary. So there's the back of my box here. I know it's the back of my box because I can see that seam line in there. And when we stick this in, just very carefully wiggle it in. Don't press it down. Just get the score line to match that cut line there. And just nice and slowly, I'm not rushing this process at all. I'm going to push that down and run my finger along there like that. Be patient with it. Don't rush that process. And then just turning it over, just going to smooth that. Now, I've done video tutorials before now where we make a box with a lid all in the same piece of card, but doing it this way means that you get a much bigger box. This is a big box. You can fit a lot in there. There are the flaps. They're going to fold in here. Sometimes we need a little bit of extra manoeuvring with these flaps, and we might need to cut into them, but I think with this one we might have it right first time. No, I just need to trim a teeny tiny bit off each side. It doesn't quite fit, and this is the teeniest amount, so don't do too much in the first instance. Look, a sliver. But when you take the same off the other side, it will create a fair bit of room. In fact, I'm going to leave that for a minute. I'm just going to test it. Oh, I think that's going to fit. Yep, it fits like that. So that's a big box, a nice elegant box as well. I like that white with the gold. But I think what we're going to do, because I've got some gold foil card left over from another project. I didn't have enough gold to sit on the back of all of these panels. So what I'm going to do is create a sentiment using some gold card and then also some more white paper. So let's just go and get that. So I've got some gold foil, and I've got both the 2-inch and the 2 1/4 inch circle punches. You could use circle dies. You could cut round something circle. There's something round, something circle, something round. So with the 2 1/4 inch punch, I'm just going to whack a piece off of there. And that can sit on there like that. And then I'm going to use the white cardstock and got that. Now I want to decorate this, and I'm going to use some gold embossing. So I need a piece of white paper if I'm going to be using embossing powder. Okay, so I've got my embossing buddy. So you have to use this, takes the static off of your card or whatever surface you're using. And then I'm going to be using the Best Wishes stamp in the Arrange a Wreath stamp set. Put it on a block. And you're going to need Versamark for this. Don't touch that card again. Our hands are quite naturally greasy and it will just pick up the grease back on the card. So don't touch that. So with Versamark, stamp that on there like that. Can't see it. You're not meant to see it. So if you shine it in the light, try not to touch this. If you shine it in the light, you might be able to see that. Get your gold embossing powder, sprinkle that on. If you've never done heat embossing before, I really recommend it. It's really, at first, really scary. And then when you see the impact of embossing, it's like, oh, wow, that's really clever. Just going to get my powder back into the pot. Embossing powder lasts forever. And we've got gold, silver, white. I think there's copper as well. But don't touch that because we're going to heat it and set it. So I've got my heat tool. I don't have a Stampin' Up one, but Stampin' Up do heat tools. And then very carefully, we're going to heat that up. And when it heats up, it will then set. And you just watch the magic happen. There we go. You might be able to see that. So that's that done. And then that's warmed up my tablecloth a bit. And we're going to pop that on there, and I'm going to pop that on there with some dimensionals. So when you're using that heat tool, it does get very hot, so watch where you're pointing that. And the other thing as well, it will make your card warp a little bit. And what I sometimes do, if I'm heat embossing onto a big piece of card that's going to warp, then what I do is just stick it between two heavy books and wait for it to flatten out. Now I've got my mini stamping dimensionals. I'm just using up all of these edge pieces, and I'm going to put this either side. And pop that on there like that. And then I want to put that on there, but I want some ribbon around it. Now, there is this, which is from the Art Gallery suite, but I'm going to use this. Our annual catalogue is coming to an end quite soon. Still got a couple of months, but I want to start using things that will possibly retire. And this has been around for a little while, and I think this might go. So I want enough that's going to go around my whole box. Like that. That should be enough. I don't like cutting off too much. So this is the metallic edge Very Vanilla ribbon. And what I want it to do is run behind our sentiments. And then I'm going to attempt to do a bow, which I'll then probably have to give up. So because I want that in there, I need my sticky bits to be here. Just get another couple of those off. And then put them wherever you wish. Put this wherever you want onto the box. So whether it's at the top, at the centre, at the bottom, it's up to you. I'm going to go for the middle. Like that. And then see if I can tie this. Oh, one thing I haven't done. I need to put a little thumb, because you're still there, I need to open that box. And if I don't have a little gap there, it's not going to work. So I've got, and it's not current anymore, and I don't like to use product that isn't current. But the 1/2 inch circle punch does this perfectly. But you could do that by hand. Just get it in the middle. I'm just eyeballing that. And then that's easier to open. Plus also that ribbon will cover that up. Now, you might be far better at bows than me. I'm hopeless. But let's just get that tied there. I'm going to go for the bow. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to go for a knot. I can't do a bow. It's just like my fingers and my brain aren't connected. So I've got a nice pretty knot there. And there you have it, a very, very elegant box. We've got Easter coming up soon. You could get quite a lot in that. Fill that with chocolate. Far cheaper, better value for money than an Easter egg. So I hope you like that tutorial. Ornate Garden, that's coming to the end of the annual catalogue now. Glad I dug that out to just try something a little bit different. If I had enough gold foil, I actually would have put the gold foil behind this, but I didn't, so that's what we've got. So just remains for me to say thank you very much for joining me today, and hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more projects. I'd make cards, 3D boxes, bags, all sorts of things, and I'm inspired by people all over YouTube. So I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.